Cheers. So, all right, everybody, welcome to Mixed Screens. Today we got a little special episode with our guy Mike. And lucky for us, his girl Anna is here. She's super cool. And a little bit about Anna. She's getting married. Don't tell Mike. But she has had so many jobs, cool, interesting jobs, and has always been into food. I fucking love food. And she's vegetarian, vegan. So I know where to get food. Yes. So also just lovely person. I love you, Anna.
Oh, thank you.
You glow.
Yeah.
And she loves to cook everything from scratch too. Whenever she makes anything, it's always she creates everything from scratch.
Awesome. Yeah. That's how you know that.
That's just how I learned.
It's good.
We have a guest star. We have Sadie in the house.
The Wonder Dog.
We got Sadie. The Black Labrador mix. Black Labrador German Shepherd?
German Shepherd, yeah.
German Shepherd dominant.
She's super cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so anyways, we just, what did we just try? The Blue Dream?
That was a Blue Dream.
Okay.
It's a very sativa strain.
Okay.
Sativa dominant. So when you grow sativas, if not everyone's familiar with the difference between sativas and indicas.
Yes, okay, so I always remember in the couch.
In the couch.
In the couch, kind of laid out, laid back.
Yeah, the indicas are definitely more of the heavy body high. A lot of times they'll give you the munchies. You want to sit in the couch and watch some TV and take a nap.
Netflix and chill.
Where the sativas are more of an uplifting, productive high. What I like to call the wake and bake or daytime high. If you got chores to do around the house, sativas are what you want to smoke. If you get home from work and you just want to veg out on the couch, indicas are what you want to smoke.
So if you want to
So if I want to make beats, I should probably be smoking sativas, right? Not fucking laying myself out with some indicas.
Sativas are also often
creative and artistic.
Sided with the creative mind thinking, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely gets the artistic juices flowing with the sativas. So yeah, if you want to come up with some creative stuff and be productive, sativas are a good way to go.
Okay. See, for me, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm indica only, me and Jen. Just only indica. It's I'm so high strung that I can wake and bake and clean the house and be focused and not clean parts of every room, actually clean.
Yeah.
I like hybrids.
Yeah, and everyone is different. I've met people where the opposite effects happen to them. They smoke sativas and they do nothing, and they smoke indicas and they clean their whole house. And so, I speak in generalities.
Right.
Most of the time when I say how it affects people, but myself personally, I can smoke anything at any time and get anything done if I really need to. And so for me, it really boils down to willpower, I guess, in the end. No matter what you're smoking, if you got things that need to get done,
I kind of think
still got to get them done.
I kind of think that's personality though.
Don't blame the weed.
You all know those different type of smokers. There's always those irresponsible smokers, or those those people that can friggin' smoke weed all day and still get everything done. Or there's those, there's just
it definitely affects everyone different. Yeah, there's across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I speak in what certain strains are going to do to you, it's more in just the general terms. But yeah, it's definitely not the same for everyone.
Right.
So when you, because you grow most of everything that you have.
I grow a few select strains. I also have several close friends that are also growers. And so I get a wide variety of strains through me and my other connections.
So a little network.
Yes, definitely a good network of growers. And most of us prefer to grow hydro. hydroponically grown, which means soilless. Instead of soil, we often use Rockwool, which is a synthetic fibrous material. It's kind of like a sponge.
Does it come in like a
I've
brick?
seen that. Mm-hmm.
It comes in different shapes and
tile.
sizes. They usually, the cloning comes in little tiny squares, like those. Those
Okay.
are little Rockwool cubes that I have down behind me, and then they can be easily transplanted into bigger cubes or even slabs of Rockwool. And it's almost like the insulation that you put up in the walls of your house is almost the same type of material that
Pink
that
stuff?
we're using. Yeah, only not pink.
But it's
yeah,
like
very
really
similar.
like biodegradable, natural, all natural type of stuff. Or
No, the Rockwool is not. There are other forms of hydro that are like cocoa using.
I was expecting like compost or like just compacted compost or something.
Well, compost is used, but that would be considered more of like a soil type of growing.
Okay.
So, with soilless or hydro, there's a few different mediums that can be used to grow in. Rockwool is the most common, and because it kind of works the easiest. Although, what it really is shredded up fiberglass that is then compacted together to form these cubes and slabs. But it really literally is little shards of fiberglass.
So you have to.
And so you can get, I often get splinters, fiberglass splinters in my fingers when I'm working with it. So I'll oftentimes wear gloves
Yes.
or something to protect my fingertips when I am transplanting and working with it, because it will sometimes poke you with little tiny fiberglass splinters into your fingertips, and it's real annoying.
How does that affect the growing process or their actual taste or the actual like bud itself between growing from that or growing from actual dirt or whatever?
Dirt, soil. So fiberglass, or Rockwool as they like to call it, gives no nutrient value whatsoever to the plant. It doesn't affect the flavor or anything. So therefore, all the nutrients have to come from what you add to the water.
Okay.
So with that, we add in a variety of nutrients. There's a bunch of different nutrient lines out there, and oftentimes they come with anywhere from 5 to 10 different bottles of nutrients. Sometimes they're just listed as nutrient A, nutrient B. Sometimes they'll be, this is called the bloom, this is for root,
Okay.
So different stages.
So you have
So
to treat
different-
every,
yeah,
you have to
different
treat
stages.
every friggin' aspect of the plant pretty much.
And they'll give you like a calendar,
this is
like
for
map
parasites,
out.
this is for this.
Every week you're giving it different ratios of different nutrients based on what stage of the growing cycle it's in.
So at like week 2 you might be giving it this, but at week 5 you're no longer giving it that. You're giving it something else. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why there's so many different bottles. So you're giving them different ones throughout different times of their life cycle. And so with that, the hydro, because these roots, they just grow really easily through this spongy fibrous material. So the roots can grow easily through it, and then when you water it, the water just goes straight to the roots. With soil, the soil almost acts as like a buffer zone between the water and the nutrients and the roots. Or with the hydro, it's just blasting those nutrients straight to the roots. And it makes them grow way faster, way bigger, way stronger, and way frostier. And
So
when I say frostier, that means more crystals.
Right.
And as we all know, the crystals is where all the flavor and smell comes from.
And also the hive?
And the THC is produced there as well.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's what you want. You want the crystals. The little orange hairs are pretty, but they don't do anything for your high.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that one. A little side note.
PSA.
So those little orange hairs, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know this, but those are actually the pollen receptors of the female flower.
Oh, it's like a corn.
So
Like how corn has their hair.
if there's pollen
like I'm
floating
moving
in the
my
air
hands
from the
like
male
this.
plants, the males pollinate the female plants, and those little orange hairs are actually pollen receptors. So as the pollen is floating through the air, it catches onto a little hair, and then the pollen works its way down the hair into the the calyx, which
Just
is
like
the little
the
piece
sperm
that
makes
holds
its way to the
the hair, and then the little seed is formed inside the calyx piece.
Like a stamen and a stamen and
So then you're telling us like, okay,
Yeah.
don't just look at the bud and be like, oh, look at all the orange hairs. Look at all the hairs.
Yeah, the hairs really mean absolutely nothing as to how high it's going to get you or what it's going to taste like.
So, okay, what are you supposed to look for? What's the top 3 things or I don't know what.
Yeah, the crystal production is definitely the number one thing you want to look for. Mm-hmm. The frostier, the better. Often the frostier, the more potent it's going to be, because that's where the THC production mostly occurs. Mm-hmm. So the more crystals that are on there is the more potent it's going to be. And so a lot of people don't realize that these crystals are very fragile, little mushroom-like little things, where it's like a little cap on top of a little crystal
I want to say some scientific word like tryouts or something like
So-
that. Like
Okay, so the
something.
scientific word is called trichomes.
Ooh, I was
Trichomes,
close.
you were very
I was
close.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
need something.
Crystals in the scientific weed world
We're there.
are
We were
called
so bad.
trichomes. And the stoner scientists like to say trichomes make mouths happy. And so yeah, that's where all the flavor, the THC, the smell, all that comes from the crystals. And those crystals are very fragile, and so when people put their weed or their nugs in a plastic bag, and all those little fragile crystals that are outside of the nug get squished up on the side of the bag when you put it in your pocket,
I also feel like they're magnetized.
you're
to it,
degrading the potency of your weed or
Okay.
herb.
So when you see those pictures on the internet of those bags of weed,
Mm-hmm.
that's the very first bag that gets put in. So that's like a mistake right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it should never even, when it's harvested, it should go straight
into
a jar.
Into a jar.
See, so
But wait, if you're harvesting the whole crop, what are you putting it in?
Big jars.
yeah.
So that's the problem with mass production, because it's hard to have a bunch of giant glass jars everywhere when you're mass producing pounds, and so that's why they end up in turkey bags. And because turkey bags, when tied up and knotted up, are pretty smell proof. So when transporting pounds, people have started using turkey bags over the years because they're virtually smell proof.
And who the hell can take a big ass glass on that?
Exactly. So, but true connoisseurs that grow on small scale or for personal level will only put their nugs into glass jars. They don't want it to ever touch a bag. They don't want anybody's other hands touching their herb. They treat it like a delicate little flower that every time it gets handled or bagged or jostled around, you're breaking the crystals, the trichomes off. You're degrading it. It's losing its potency. My favorite analogy that I like to give people that still have trouble understanding why I don't like people putting my herb in their bags and in their pockets is I like to tell them, what if your boyfriend was to come give you a rose that he grew in his backyard, and you were to say, hey, thanks, and take that rose and stuff it into a sandwich Ziploc bag and put it in your pocket? How do you think he would feel about that? Well, that's the way I feel every time someone takes my homegrown herbs and puts it in a sandwich bag and sits it in their pocket and sits on it.
I have proof of that, Mike. Because you didn't want to put that shit in the one that I had fucking roaches in. Mm-hmm. Like, you was like, no. Like, you were like, nah. You were like,
No,
threw that shit in the trash. Like,
yeah.
Oh, don't do that.
It's the respect
I
that I have
understood
for
though
the
too.
flower.
I completely understood. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I would have thrown it away too.
I get it.
So, everyone looks at it differently, and so I try to open people's eyes to looking at it through different points of view and understanding it differently and respecting the plant and the herb.
It's because ultimately, if you handle with care, then you get higher than you would otherwise.
Right, and you only need to smoke one bowl as opposed to 2 or 3 because it still has all those crystals on it. So, It doesn't take as many rips to get stoned because you're getting all those crystals each time you smoke it, as opposed to just smoking the leaves and the leftover plant matter, you know?
Yes.
I like what you said about respect it.
Gotta respect those bitches.
Respect that. I mean,
and
like,
actually, and they are females
nature,
too.
like
So technically, yeah, it's nature. It's Mother Earth has created these beautiful plants for us that we're able to take advantage of, and helps us in so many ways.
Well, like Smokey said,
That
God put it here for me and you.
That kind of
Take
takes me
advantage.
to like a first actual question, since you said that. Like, so, like, how do you feel about like legalization? Because I feel like it's been disrespected all these years, and it's been like with the propaganda and just like it's just been demonized and everything. And it's like the people who do it and the people who like, not just the people who do it, but the people who actually respect it. Like, I don't know, I kind of feel disrespected as far as the way like the government or just people who don't agree with it, just kind of their perspective on it.
Oh yeah, extremely disrespected. There's a great book out there called The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herrera. If you've never heard of it,
He's got a strand.
please check it out. Yeah, everyone is familiar with the strand that they named after him.
He's
It
the
is a
king.
real man.
He's made his cancer
They named the strain
things
after
and
him.
everything. Yeah.
He recently passed away a few years ago. But check out his book if you can. Again, it's The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herrera. And it's kind of teaches you a history of the whole illegalization of the herb, as well as before, when it was actually, before it became illegal, when it was actually at one point in the history in this country, it was the law that you had to grow hemp on your property.
Yeah.
And you were fined if you did not grow hemp on your property, because they used the hemp plant for rope and sails of ships to get across the Atlantic Ocean back in the day. All those old ships that the Pilgrims came over on, all those sails and all the rope used on those boats was all made out of hemp. So there's a whole, history of how it became illegal, less than 100 years ago, where, as you say, all these years that it's been illegal, and it's actually in the grand scheme of time in human history, it's only been illegal for a short time, where there was actually centuries documented where it was worshipped as a sacrament and used by every culture and civilization around the world, as well as far back as 2,000 years ago in ancient Chinese documents and texts where they have it mentioned. It's been found in the graves of ancient shamans and, people all around the world, where it's been revered as this amazing sacrament plant.
Because it is.
Because it is. And it wasn't only until recently, within the last, century, less than, that white Americans used it as a way to enforce racist persecution
Leverage
upon the Mexicans who were growing it and the black jazz musicians who were smoking it. And so they used it as an excuse to lock up all these Mexicans and black people that were selling it and smoking it and growing it.
knowing all of them liked it too. Everybody liked it. Who doesn't like it?
But then, the white men were more into the alcohol. They tried to make that
And
legal
the
for a couple
coca,
years,
and the
and that
coca.
didn't last very long.
Oh yeah, that's why cocaine is
So,
Yeah, that's
alcohol
right,
prohibition lasted, a couple years, where
They
marijuana
couldn't even do
prohibition
it.
is lasting,
Yeah.
70 years. But it's finally working its way back into re-legalization. So, once again, prohibition failed. It just took a little longer to realize it. And there was big money against it, which is the real reason why it took so long to re-legalize. Hemp became illegal because of a company run by Harry Dupont, a company called Dupont. And they were making this new textile called nylon. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
They make paint.
But its number one competition was hemp. So another reason this guy, Harry Dupont, was friends with the head of the DEA, Harry Anslinger, and he said, hey, if you make hemp illegal, I can make a ton of money. So, once again, money, corruption, greed is at the heart of all these issues.
Yes, and any great wrong.
Her demonization and egalization of cannabis.
Yes.
So, it's kind of a little brief history of how it became illegal in the first place. And now people are finally seeing the light again. And they released that little movie called Reefer Madness that propaganda against it, and everyone just believed that for decades.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like they only had, there was a limited amount of information at the time when you just fed that one thing. Now there's such a plethora of knowledge.
And the information gets spread so much faster through social media and the internet that people learn about stuff a lot quicker nowadays.
Yes. So, like I was just telling Erica that, the greatest, like, the powers that be, like, the giant corporations are against it. And now they're for it again. And did you hear about, like, the loophole in Prop 64? We had just talked about it, how in California they legalized it, and for like 5 years it was supposed to be only small independent growers. So that way they can get set up. So that way they have a clientele and are established enough to compete with the larger companies that are coming in. But there's a loophole in which a company can apply for an unlimited amount of small grower licenses. So we have this combined with studies that people are still going underground for weed. Like, even though there's, it's legal, do you think that, like, with all of this going on, that, like, first of all, does any of this legalization, like, make you, like, interested in starting your own business?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because my whole question was, how do you even feel about the legalization of it?
Well, it's about time. I
I also want to distinguish, like, recreational versus medical as well.
Right.
Or should it just, like, this is not even call it either. It's just boom. It's just what it is.
A lot of people say all weed is medical.
So are you?
In some way or form, right?
Yeah, well, so are some people saying alcohol is medical too, or something? I mean,
you go to your doctor and they'll prescribe you, recreation. So.
But legalization now is definitely gonna be the big millionaire companies and corporations that are gonna move on it and take over ultimately.
It's like a tech boom,
right? Or something, but
because it's just like with any business,
Yeah.
But I feel that when the big corporations take over, they're not going to do a very good job of growing it. Good. Like, I've already heard of, Marlboro and the big ones are already, like, gearing up for it. They know it's coming. They're already gearing up.
Marlboro Greens.
Yeah.
Are not going to be menthols.
Right, exactly. And they'll be the first ones to have mass-produced packs of joints, right? Like a pack of cigarettes, but a pack of joints. And it's going to be some shitty-ass weed.
Yes.
Like the shit you used to smoke when you were like 16 and shit.
Oh my God.
And yeah, they'll probably have it for cheap prices. And it's because it's going to be cheap weed.
I wonder if they're going to allow that to be outsourced from outside of the country. Like, are we going to be buying Mexican
Let's
weed?
get that Afghanistan.
I'll take that Afghani.
Well, being that it's still illegal in all those countries, probably not going to be able to outsource like that.
Smart. That's the smart
because
answer.
it's illegal in their country still.
But
why can't everybody be as great as America?
If they could get it over here to some, if they could get it over here to some
We've seen what Mexico's weed looks like, and it's It's what some people refer to as the brown frown. Some people call it schwag. Some people call it stress.
Yeah, stress.
Some people call it that brickweed.
Compact.
And we all know it's more full of seeds and stems than it is actual weed.
Yeah, it's dry or moldy.
Yeah. And that's what happens when they go down to Mexico and they throw a bunch of seeds out in the field and they water it with a hose and let it get rained on. And they don't actually fertilize it or...
Who has the best weed?
Oh, California. Southern California in particular.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about Mendocino County? We talked about that. The what was it? The...
Emerald Triangle.
Yeah.
The Emerald Triangle used to be the king of California. Humboldt in particular was put on the map when the train wreck and the White Widow and the Northern Lights... and the Skunk #1 were being grown outdoors up in Humboldt, and it came down looking green and beautiful compared to the brown crap coming up from Mexico.
Right.
And so Northern California was the king of the outdoor growing scene and greenhouse grown. But then the indoor growing scene took over in the 80s.
Okay.
And the indoor growing revolution changed everything.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say, because like you when you think of like Mexican weed, like ditch weed and versus Humboldt, like I go to hippies, like like right.
Well, I go to outdoor for Humboldt and for Mexico.
Yeah, they all do outdoor.
Yeah.
So
no, I was just thinking like
but Southern California.
They existed at the same time.
Southern California took over the indoor growing scene
in the 80s. Okay.
And the OG Kush has dominated the marijuana scene for the last 10 years now. And that one really was a game changer. And that's what put Southern California ahead of the rest of the world, was that all these insane OG Kush strains were being created and hybridized and passed around Southern California and grown out hydroponically. And
because it was indoor, was that like more of the
indoor
reason why like you started to see more hydro because it was indoor?
Indoor. And we have really good weather and climate down here. We have a drier climate down here. We're up north. It's a lot wetter. It rains all the time.
And it's colder.
Which colder is better, but wetter is not.
Okay.
When you're growing indoors, you want it to be both cold and dry. Not necessarily cold, but cool. Below 75 degrees. But if you have really wet conditions, that can often lead to powdery mildew, #1 problem for indoor growing. And if it's really wet and bad and you don't have good air circulation, mold can even become a problem as well. And so that's where Northern California suffers a little bit because it rains all the time.
Yes.
Down here it barely ever rains, so especially in the wintertime, Southern California wintertime is the best like growing conditions probably in the world.
So if you grow outdoors in Northern California, you probably don't have so much of a mold problem, I guess.
Unless it gets rained on. Yeah, it's even worse outdoors because then they actually get rained on. Indoors, the rain doesn't hit them, but it's still, the humidity is in the air.
That's what I was thinking. They're safer outdoors than indoors.
No, outdoors the rain actually hits them and then it beats them down and the branches fall down into the mud and then the whole branch is just mold and ruined. Yeah, it's way worse outdoors. So.
What about
Seattle? Yeah.
Do they even grow that? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a close friend that opened up a dispensary up in Washington back when they became legalized. Okay. He opened up a medical dispensary right before they legalized because when they went into full legalization, Washington only allowed the dispensaries that were already operating as medicinal to then open up as recreational. Okay. And they didn't allow anyone else to come move in and open up shop. Because otherwise there would have been one on every corner like Starbucks. Okay. But he said it's funny up there. The strains up there, it's a lot of greenhouse grown. You can't grow outside because it rains too much, so you have to keep it in a greenhouse. But because everything is so humid and rainy all the time, it doesn't allow the herb to fully dry out. So during the drying and curing process, you gotta run dehumidifiers like crazy in your drying room in order to get it to try and dry out.
So you probably get like a lot of wet weed out there.
Yeah,
sticky
it's always
bush.
just wet, like, peels apart instead of snapping apart.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Ooh,
and even
that's an interesting fact.
Yeah, so as soon as
Banana, that banana strain.
Yeah.
Banana Jolly Rancher.
As soon as you take it out of that dehumidifier room, and just like if you just leave it out, it just refreshes and becomes all soft and spongy again because there's so much moisture in the air. We're down here, we don't want to leave our weed out because it becomes dry and crumbly because it's so dry here that it's like, oh, you have to keep it in the jar so it doesn't dry out and become crumbly because we're more of a desert
You
down
got to
here.
give it a little bit of moisture or keep it a little.
So it's hard to find that happy medium.
So I have a trick, so if my weed dries out, because in the summer, I like to go to the beach. So I'll put a little piece of carrot in the jar and
To
close
refreshen it.
Yes,
Yeah.
to
I've
refreshen
heard
it.
of an orange peel.
You can
too.
use
Oh,
you
an
can use
orange
any
peel.
piece
That sounds good.
of
Orange
fruit
peel.
that has moisture in it.
Lemon peel.
Yeah, you can use a blueberry, a grape, a strawberry,
Oh my god, this whole time I
orange
was
peel,
only doing
anything.
carrots.
You can put a wet paper towel in there.
I like blueberries.
I'm just saying that will refreshen it, but it won't give it any smell to the jar.
I think it'll be too wet.
Yeah, if you
It'll
wanna
just
give it
maybe fuck
But you
up
have to be
shit.
very careful. Yeah, you don't want to leave it in there for too long, or it will make it really spongy. It will over freshen it. So
Yeah.
don't leave it in there for more than a half an hour. Usually is enough to refreshen it.
Yeah, what I usually do is, I'll put the carrot, but this time I'm going to try all those fruits that you said. I'm going to try pineapples. I'm going to try all of that shit. So what I do,
sounds good.
Right, so I stick it in there. I have a little method, to put it in a little plastic and have it on the side, and then I clean my piece out. So I close it up, clean my piece out, and by the time I'm done cleaning my piece out, then it's fluffed up.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, just set yourself a little timer. I'll go do this task, and then when I'm done, then I'll take it out.
Yeah.
Cucumber.
Ooh.
That might be interesting.
I was thinking that, but I was thinking it was too
is
wet,
that
maybe. I was thinking that, but I was just thinking it was
Too
too
wet.
moist. Too moist.
Is there such a
Always.
thing?
Okay, I have a couple.
Okay,
So where do you
anything
see the
we
industry in 5 years and 10 years?
Oh, does
I would
anybody
really
need
like
any
some
beer?
Yes, I would.
We like that.
All right. Yeah, it's hard to say where it's gonna be in 5 years. Are you saying on a federal level or a state level?
Both.
California. Just
California.
California. Yeah.
Yeah, California.
You ready for
Without the state effing with us. Without the feds. If they don't decide to friggin' shut everything down.
So, yeah, there'll probably be recreational dispensaries starting to pop up everywhere. Hopefully it becomes similar to what Colorado has done. They've been very successful with their recreational implementation. I don't know if you've heard much about Colorado.
Yes, I heard a little bit. So what do you think their success is due to? Not having loopholes in Prop 64?
Right. Also, creates tourism.
Yeah.
All the surrounding states that are not illegal from Colorado,
Come right on in.
all the tourists come flooding in. You don't have to be from Colorado to smoke to go into the recreational shops.
And they charge more.
And yeah, so if you're a Colorado resident and you have a medical card, I heard that the prices are often cheaper. And if you're out of state, just recreational person, then they charge more.
Well, that's our.
And then
gonna
they're
be
also
ours.
charging taxes on all. They're getting taxed on all this, and they're paying their taxes. And it was said that, God, in the first year, I want to say that Colorado made around $50 million in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were making so much in taxes that they actually started refunding the citizens of Colorado and giving them
Like Alaska.
extra bonus checks
Like Alaska.
because they were making so much.
Oh my god, that's
in
the shit.
taxing their recreational weed sales. And a lot of the money too is also going towards like schools and like education and stuff, and the taxes are funding like, you know, local like important things.
God, why does California have to be all fucked up?
And that's why I say like in 5 years
I feel like we will be supporting those
we will.
things.
Okay,
that's why I'm hoping.
so.
That's why I could see California being there in 5 years. I very well hope that we are. God damn.
Yeah. I mean, we should follow their lead.
I worry.
Mm-hmm.
And even like be even more progressive than they are.
We're Hollywood whores.
And like I said, what was the first things too that I said that really helped with Colorado? Tourism. California has a shit ton of tourism already.
Okay, so what about Nevada then?
Oh.
Because they have the most tourism.
Didn't they already legalize?
No.
Yeah, it's legal.
Nevada does not. Las Vegas.
Oh, it's just Las Vegas?
Why the hell else would you go to Nevada?
But I'm saying no. But it's the whole state.
Okay.
The whole state is legal, right?
Yeah.
But we just talk about Vegas.
Yeah, but
So okay,
all their
so
tours.
all the tourism
Reno's
in
tiny,
Vegas.
and then they kind of have Laughlin.
I already know they fucked up though because they didn't expect.
Right, because it's on the Nevada
They didn't
Arizona
even have
border.
enough weed when they started. Las Vegas, they fucked up. They didn't even have enough weed. Like, duh,
Yeah,
it's Vegas. Like,
yeah,
well,
they ran out.
Yeah.
They have the Indian reservations.
Well, they
and
had
they've been starting to grow on the Indian reservations.
That's cool.
Which is good, because, I mean, the Native Americans have...
They know how to do it best, most likely.
They've gotten shafted harder than anyone else in American history.
Definitely.
And they deserve to make some money back, so... I feel
That's a
that
damn shame
all the Native American reservations should be allowed to, grow weed.
I mean, they should have the most flexible laws. You know, just
they
like
should,
just how
but,
they're able to have their
they get screwed
casinos,
over.
like their marijuana
free red
laws
fund,
should be
by the
like
way. She's got a fucked up deal.
Their marijuana laws
digress.
should be
Red fund. Red fund.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, for the
water protester.
Yes. I heard about that. I signed a petition against that and in support of her because I just think that's insane.
Yeah.
There's so many people that got messed up over that. I couldn't believe it happened.
Side note.
Sidebar.
Yeah, sidebar.
That's okay.
All right.
But yeah. So yes.
Yeah. And it's hard to say in 10 years, probably corporations will be taking over. But what I'm hoping is that there will be a niche for growers and connoisseurs like myself that still continue to grow really high quality hydroponic strains on a small scale.
It'll be like craft beer.
Exactly. And that's what I want us to fall into. A little niche like the craft beer industry. These microbreweries that are popping up and taking over and making the big corporations like Anheuser-Busch.
And we can laugh at the people that
Didn't they
you over there smoking that
Coors
Newport joint. Like, you over there smoking that Newport
Wasn't
weed.
the first year that they've had a drop?
I think it's been the last couple of years now. They've had
Okay.
significant
Ranger
drops in
weed,
sales
like-
for the big Miller, Coors, and Budweiser corporations because these microbreweries are starting to take over and people are realizing that these IPAs taste better, are more potent, and it's like, yeah, they might cost a little bit more, but you get what you pay for.
Yes.
And when that taste and that potency, it's like, it's better. And I try to, use that analogy with the weed world and say that, these big corporations like Marlboro will come in and they'll mass produce a bunch of cheap, crappy cigarettes and joints in a pack, but there'll still be the niche for the
natural spirits or whatever those shits are
exactly
called.
Right. The
Yes.
homegrower that has their nugs in a jar and that
See, that's why I agree 100% with what you're saying, and I feel like with the thing with beer though, it was like the reverse. There wasn't any or that many craft breweries. There was, especially compared to now.
Yeah.
And now we have but with weed, it's like we've had these microbreweries installed this whole time.
You're right.
So no matter what, and that's another thing I feel like, especially in California, because we grow, like, I feel like in Colorado, it is such a boom because, first of all, they don't even know how to grow. They didn't even know how to grow that good of weed once they started.
I don't know. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the growers in Colorado are California transplants, to be honest.
Okay.
It's a lot of California growers that were chasing the green rush back to Colorado because it became legal over there. So they're like, cool, I can finally go do this legal.
I heard you have to have legal residency for a year before you could, like, do anything legally.
They've been out there.
Yeah, so a lot of them have been over there for a year at least, if not multiple years. And yeah, there's a lot of big dispensaries going on over there. But I've had, personal friends that go out to Colorado and they go in the dispensaries there and they come back and they always say that it's better out here. Good. They always say, they go to Colorado and they come back saying that they were not very impressed.
No offense, you guys.
Okay.
But actually, that's already known. That California has the best weed. Like, rappers say it. Like,
so that's
says
what
it.
that's why I'm saying.
Everybody says it.
Is that also contributes to the growth of taxes in Colorado, is because, first of all, they didn't even have access to weed, and now all of a sudden they have some. But we always had dope ass shit, and we always had it underground. So now that, like, they're fucking with the system, I feel like you have a niche, and it will always be there.
I think so too.
Even 10 years
it can never fuck with you, kinda.
I feel that way too. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if anything, it will be like a farmer's market.
I know, and I'm gonna exactly. I was gonna say
that going on right now.
I kind of feel like you can legally be in the business.
Pop up on the streets.
Like somehow you can legally.
They sell weed.
Oh, okay.
Do what you do now, right? So, there has to be.
Yeah.
You have to be able to. Right?
Okay, so anyways, listen to what Anna is saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there is something like that. I've heard of it. I haven't been yet, but I really want to go. It's like a farmer's market. They pop up on the street with like different little.
You gotta go real fast. Hurry up, get it, go, go, go. No, I'm sorry.
No, like people set up like actual like easy ups. They have their table.
Hurry up before the heat comes.
No, I don't know. I guess it's like
you got the little kids on the corner like po 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 po.
The hula.
Oh my god!
I'm trying.
Shut it down! Go!
Put the tables away. Hurry.
Get those brownies in your car.
Not even. It's just a whistle.
No, hey, but we don't have to leave. We just switch it out with broccoli. We just switch it out with the actual fruit and shit. Like we already had the regular farmers market and shit. Like
no, it's a paleta cart.
Oh my god.
So anyways, go.
I'm sorry.
So they have it.
So my friend told me about this place that I think it's in Hollywood, or I don't know. I gotta look it up and find out where exactly it is. But it's definitely not in like Long Beach or LA. I think it's more like like north, like towards
like Silver Lake.
Like,
okay.
No, more like Hollywood area, or
let
even
us know,
like
because we can put the link in the bio. That'd be cool.
Okay, yeah. So I know of one right now. Like one of my favorite rappers, 2Max, underground rapper.
Okay.
He has this thing called the Taco Sesh, and it's mostly in San Bernardino. So that's
far.
Yeah, it's far. Like in California, we measure distance in minutes.
Yeah, we don't go to San Bernardino.
And when we're measuring it in hours, no.
We don't go to San Bernardino unless our uncle lives there.
And yeah, my uncles don't live there; they live here. All my cousins do.
Oh no.
But anyways, so they've had it in San Bernardino for a while, and I think actually tonight they have it in LA, and so it's essentially a few different people, like little tables set up selling dabs and weed. And that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, that's my next question.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish, but that's my next question.
I just wanted to say this one I've heard is like actually pretty elaborate. The one that I've heard of is that they have like nugs, they have dabs, they have everything you could possibly want, and the edibles are like out of this world, like unheard of. She had like a collection of these like different candies that she had gotten from this like weed farmer's market, and she had a Nerds rope that had weed in it.
I've
she
seen
had,
those.
Like a gummy sharks.
My
like,
sister finds all of those
edibles,
edibles,
not just like brownies and cookies and cupcakes.
Yeah, that's
and stuff like
boring.
that. No, they're getting like crazy.
She brought me a Cap'n Crunch
gummy bears,
crispy treat.
all these things. Yes, I'm just like, wow, that's a Nerds rope. That blew my mind.
I know.
I'm just like, what? Somebody made this.
That sounds bomb.
So that's my next question. is how do you feel about other cannabis products such as edibles, topicals, dabs, like friggin' bath bombs? There's all kinds of things.
I still want to revisit
and
that.
You can separate them out and everything, but how do you feel about all? Because those are kind of medicinal, but they're not all medicinal. Like the edibles are not necessarily.
You can say.
And I've made bath bombs. I've made a lot of different products that are not edible. I made edibles and I've made bath bombs. I've made lip balm. I've made tinctures for pain. I made friggin' creams. I've made all kinds of shit with marijuana, with cannabis.
Yeah, so there's definitely, all those can be considered medicinal as well, including the edibles. Some people call them medibles. Certain cancer patients, and there are other people that don't want to smoke but want the relief, choose the edibles. And so there's a place for those. I myself personally am not a huge fan of the edibles most of the time. Okay. They're the one thing that make me not productive.
Oh yes, me too.
They put me down.
They put me up.
Yeah, yeah. They are no joke. A lot of people joke like pop brownies are no big deal. Pop brownies are a very big deal.
They are. Me personally, I love them, but they do kind of.
No, it's like
they make you have a seat.
Yeah,
they'll sit your ass down.
Oh yeah, they'll put you down for a nap.
Those commercials was like PSAs when you were in high school, and they had the kids who like sit in the couch, they sink in the couch, and they're like, what happened to Billy? They're like, oh, he started smoking weed. But now he's just like one with the couch. Like that's what edibles make you feel like.
But the commercials should be melt into the couch.
And the commercial would be like, this is what happens when you eat edibles.
Yeah, it should be like, oh, he was eating weed.
Yeah.
It's not smoking. It was eating.
It's such a different high.
And then it's like
people that haven't done it don't understand that. Like
it's a whole different high, and also you fuck up usually because that shit takes too long to kick in. Yeah. So like you eat it and then you're like, oh, nothing happened. So let me have some more.
Let me eat another
and then
piece.
It's like,
do you feel it yet? Do you feel it yet?
Yeah, it doesn't kick in for about an hour oftentimes.
I mean, they say 30 minutes, but
30 minutes on an empty stomach. If you've just recently eaten and you're eating a pop brownie as dessert, you better give it at least an hour.
Yeah.
But that high is great. I mean, I love the fucking edible high. It's great.
It has a place.
Yes.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
For me personally, that place is for
at home.
No.
You gotta be
long
home.
road trips in a car or on a plane, where you have nothing to do.
That's what I'm saying.
But
at
sit
home.
in a seat for hours.
Right.
When I'm at home, I'm usually busy trying to do.
Erica's the only person that just sits at home.
I stay at home,
nothing.
And she sits.
Yeah, when I'm at home, I'm doing stuff.
I know.
I'm doing shit at home.
That's why I can't edit, because like I get up. I'm like,
I just want to be at home. I'm a homebody. Like I totally stay at home.
Pop brownie is great for long plane flights, though.
Yes.
You eat it on the drive to the airport, and that way it's kicking in by the time you're like getting on the plane.
I think that's what
and then that whole plane flight, you're just chilling.
You're like, oh my god,
you're just napping in and out of watching a movie.
One of those something interesting about edibles, your eyes still get red.
Oh yeah.
That's the interesting thing about it.
It's weed.
It's true though.
It's weed.
I went through LAX after I ate a cookie on the way there. And they pulled me out of line and went through my backpack because my eyes were red.
Dude, I went through LAX with my edible.
Even more stoned off of edibles than you do off of smoking?
Yeah. I didn't realize it too. I was like, man, why they pull me out?
I
didn't have anything in my backpack. I wasn't bringing anything with me, so I was like, oh, that's fine.
My eyelids.
Go ahead and check through my stuff. No big deal. I didn't bring anything, but I ate a cookie on the way to the airport. And I went through the line looking blazed. And I didn't realize until after we went through and stuff, then I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, whoa, no wonder they pulled me out of line.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But we were flying to Costa Rica and barely remember that flight. It passed by like no big deal.
Remember when Cells accidentally took her grinder with weed in it on the airplane and made it through security?
I was in Hawaii, flying from island to island.
In an island.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I said.
But I got knocked out of line because I had water in my water bottle.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. She
They're
had
like,
a
"You're
water
gonna have to
bottle.
dump this out."
They pulled her out of line, took her out of the airport, made her dump her water bottle out in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, we had a bong and grinder with weed in it in the other backpack that went through just fine.
Sure did.
Just fine.
They're like, that's cool.
Mahalo.
Well, that's I came across.
I mean, but come on, they work for the TSA. They don't give a fuck.
Like I said, this was Hawaiian, like inter-island flying too. It was not international.
You know how
going
much
through
paperwork
customs
they
or
would have had
anything
to
like
do.
that.
That's one thing.
Exactly.
If they have to do paperwork,
That's the other thing,
no.
too.
I knew
A
somebody
lot
that
of
worked.
TSA agents, if it's not worth it for them, if they
Right.
find a little tiny bit in your bag, it's not worth it to do the paperwork and bullshit for them. As opposed to they're looking for the bags where it's nothing but weed,
We
like
want to
5
get
pounds
on
in
the
the whole
news.
bag.
We want to get on the news.
Or
So,
if they
I
unzip your
knew
bag
it.
and it's nothing but pounds of weed,
Well, naturally, yeah.
then they're gonna pull it out. But if you got it like hidden in a sock, buried deep within your bag, and it's only like an eighth, they are not wasting their time
I knew a girl that
to
worked
bust
for the
you
TSA.
for that.
I knew a girl, and she said they don't give a fuck.
No, they don't.
And just like prison
You
guards,
take the
they don't
time
give a
to
fuck
hide it.
either. Like a lot of prison guards don't give a
Yeah,
fuck
right.
either.
They
Like,
don't get
goddamn.
paid enough.
They know the
To give
difference
a
between
fuck.
what's for personal on like I'm just trying to have a fun vacation versus like I'm trying to transport 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's
well,
a very big difference.
plus now since it's legal in California, like when you get on an airplane, they're not gonna be
No,
worried about
that
it.
is some federal shit. You cannot get on a fucking airplane with weed.
But California, if you're at an airport and they don't care, still.
No, I mean, they might not care, but just I don't give a fuck if you fly from San Diego to Burbank. That's federal. You can't do that shit.
I can and I did.
I
and
mean, I
will
do and I have.
So don't tell me
and
what I can't do,
I'm
okay?
just telling
This is
you
America.
that okay.
And then what if you're flying interstate, right? If you're just flying from Long Beach to Oakland or something like that.
Still,
I
that's
did.
what I just said. San Diego to.
Yeah, if you're
I
not
still
leaving
said that.
if you're not leaving the state of California, then it's all
It's
good.
still federal when you hop on a plane, though. You can't do that.
No,
I don't think
no,
it is.
it's not.
It is. You
Okay, it is, but
How
do
do you
you really
find
think that the
interstate?
federal...
no. If you go into the airport and act the goddamn fool, that's some federal
Dude,
shit.
Erica, there's news articles about it on the internet. You can search about it.
You search it right now. And prove it. You cannot get on a plane and go from San Diego to Oakland with some weed.
We're
think
still,
you
I
cannot.
quote, we're still in the
Yeah.
state of California,
Yeah,
he
I think
said.
you can.
The police force for the Los Angeles International Airport says, we're still in the state of California. I quote, open that airplane door on the other end, it's a whole different set of rules.
Okay, so where do you want to fly? Let's go fly.
I'll fly
From
anywhere,
somewhere to
shit.
somewhere. Let's take our little weed.
But
And
wait a
get
minute.
arrested.
Actually, I take that back. It's a winter time. I ain't trying to fly
no,
anywhere.
let's go get arrested.
Please.
Let's go get arrested.
You can go
with
get
our
arrested.
weed.
I don't get arrested.
No, let's not get arrested.
I disagree with that one.
Okay, but
It's not you. It's,
can
it's
just
not the airline is not California. That shit is some
Right.
fed shit.
So-
You can't do that.
Fly at your own discretion.
okay. Well, you can say and exactly the government's gonna do whatever they want to do. If they want to, they can let 85 motherfuckers get away for the same crime, and then your ticket comes up, and they're gonna, run you through the strings. But what I'm saying is what every official has been saying
You hear when they like
is that they don't really care.
when they like tested their TSA agents and they sent a bunch of stuff through like intentionally, like
And everything
knowing-
got through and stuff.
It was over 90%
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff that they intentionally sent through went through unnoticed, unchecked,
Because they don't get
Notified.
paid enough.
They don't. Look at the people that work at TSA.
Yes.
Right? They don't fucking want to be there.
I feel like we shouldn't talk about this because this is drawing attention to I don't know. It's okay, but
It's the reality. You could edit this, right?
yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it. I just we're saying it like it is. Do
Yeah,
you want to
for
sense
reality.
like? Are you the man? Because it's his story.
TSA
Which one are you
agents
gonna tell?
are lazy.
I'm just fucking.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, TSA agents are really.
Yeah, they don't care. Like,
they're regular
they don't give a
citizens that
shit.
they're just regular citizens.
Especially when you're flying like red eye flights through
they're
LA at night,
too
like,
high
they
to
don't want to be
figure
there.
out what you had in there anyway.
Oh,
Don't
hold
give
on.
a shit.
Actually,
they're just passing bags, so they're just trying to make. And
actually,
on a time
I
limit, too.
knew
Like, they
someone
don't
that
have
worked.
time to dig through everybody's bag.
Yeah.
I knew
They're on a
someone that
time
worked for the
limit.
TSA, and guess what he did?
Right, that's
all he
right,
did
that's
was
another
steal
thing.
shit.
Yeah.
I knew somebody that worked for, and all he did was steal shit. And he also let us know how much illegal shit actually goes. He was like, dude, people smuggle all kinds of animals. All kinds of
All
shit
kinds of
comes
shit.
through here.
All the time.
Yep.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
Animals. He said animals
Yeah.
was like crazy.
Exotic pets.
Do you know how
Yeah.
many
Oh,
mangoes got through?
Or just like some regular
That's insane,
shit. Some lady at my
exotic
job
pets.
told me she took some fucking cocaine leaves because she had
Whoa.
she had a toothache.
Oh, that's different. It's the leaves.
You can't transplant that from wherever the hell you came from.
Well, I get
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you can't do anything. But yeah, like
But she still
everybody.
brought the shit home.
I think we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Got any more questions?
but what I'm saying
I'm sorry.
is that
I might have like one more, but I think
according to the LAXPD,
I was
they
just
don't give a
gonna
fuck if they
say
take
women
weed.
in cannabis, but I don't think like there's anything really to say. I mean, what the fuck were we gonna say about that? Yeah.
Women in cannabis.
There's
Yeah.
bitches out there been doing it.
Yeah.
They still gonna do it. We doing it.
That's all we gotta say about that. I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting side note. I've watched some women try to be successful, and it is mostly male dominated. And a lot of women, unfortunately, they find their place in trimming, where guys hire girls to trim for them, because it's the only time they ever see girls, when they're up on the hillside growing weed all summer long. And then the trimming season comes, and they hire girls to come trim for them.
well,
I've done that
you
before.
know where I'm starting to see women in cannabis, in the topicals and in the cosmetics.
Yeah, in the medical industry. And
That's where I'm starting to see.
I
women.
recently watched an episode.
And that's where where
because
my
Indica, yeah. And so women are starting to, in Colorado, they're starting to become entrepreneurs and get more involved in the edibles and like the other things that they can be made with, Yeah. And so I think that's going to be a good niche for the women to get into edibles and making the topicals and stuff like that. And
Not on like a sexist tip, because I actually my husband he has a woman that's a grower out of Long Beach,
Nice.
and so I just started following her on Instagram. But like, yeah, that's what the fuck she does. She's a grower, so and her shit looks. I mean, I've been checking her out, and she has a few plants that look pretty fucking
nice. Yeah, I like it when
decent.
women actually get involved with the growing process. And there is a theory that when women do grow weed, oftentimes, if they know what they're doing, it oftentimes does turn out really, really good, because what are the plants that we're growing? They're female.
Ooh.
So they recognize that female presence in the room when they're being watered and taken care of. And so I've heard that, the female growers that do know what they're doing do turn out some really good weed, because we're growing female buds. The male plants don't grow the buds. They grow pollen.
Okay, well, this leads us to our next question. Are you open to teaching?
Teaching what?
Like the process, like how...
Yeah.
Teaching like people how to grow, like,
Oh, yeah.
Or
because
like-
I feel like some people are selfish with their businesses or
These
whatever
women.
they do, but
Oh yeah, no, I've been teaching people for years now. I have several prodigies that work under me that one of my very close buddies, I look at him as like almost like a little brother to me, and I'd taken him under my wing and taught him everything I know, and he has been producing some of the best weed I've ever seen. And I taught him all my ways, and I go over there now, and he calls me the inspector. And I go check up on his stuff, and I helped him create his grow room and showed him how to set it up, and helped fund a little bit of it, and set up air conditioners, fans, and everything he needed. And now he's being hired by other He actually just got hired by another woman that owns a couple of warehouse grow projects, like big time. And
not that bitch that just got busted for going across the street from the police department. Just kidding.
No, she's fully legit. Like, she's got, like, paperwork and stuff, too. Like, she's trying to go, like, fully legit with it. Has the money to invest in it. And now my buddy that I've taught everything to is now trying to salvage one of her warehouse projects that she started with some other guys that didn't really know what the fuck they were doing. And he's going over there trying to help salvage what they had going. She hired a bunch of gardeners who were good with gardening and irrigation setup, but had never actually grown weed before. So, like, they're really good at all, like, the initial setup and setting up their little irrigation system and stuff, but then they didn't really know what to do after that.
Yeah. Like, it's beneficial, but only, like, 20%.
So, my buddy's been in there
not that much.
teaching them now. And it's funny where now my student has become the teacher, and he comes back to me, he's like, man, I go into that warehouse and I feel like a genius compared to those guys. I'm like, attaboy, I've taught you well.
Nice.
Now he's telling them what to do, like, you're messing up here, you got powdery mildew over here, you need to change the watering over here, you need to, like, support the plants here, trellis net, bamboo stakes, you know. There's so many little things and little details that go into growing that now he knows, and he's teaching these people, so I feel very well accomplished in that aspect, and that he's picked up everything I've taught him, and now he's teaching other people how to grow. So yeah, I love teaching people how to grow.
That sounds great.
Knowledge is power, so I love sharing knowledge and educating people.
Okay.
I think my last question is the spread. Kinda. I mean, that's my final question. It's like, I think that's a long-winded question, kind of, though, like. Maybe just pick a few and describe them.
And yeah, you know what? Let's pack another bowl too.
Don't take a little smoke break.
I brought this, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, all right.
But it's your
stuff.
And
I want some.
Let's just kill two birds.
I like to say, variety is the spice of life. You can never have too many different kinds of herb. And I like sativas, indicas, hybrids, and anything that tastes good.
How do you feel about me mixing like 3 together at once? Like if I roll a blunt,
cocktail,
I might
if you will.
Right. We often call that like a salad bowl. If you pack like multiple kinds in like one bong tub, we call it a salad bowl. Or you call it a salad joint, salad blunt, whatever.
Ensalada.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why not, right? Create your own new hybrid, essentially, right?
Oh, right. It's a plant. It's good for you.
Yeah, right?
Salad's good for you.
One of my buddies that he's a skater, artist, tattoo artist, creative guy, and he likes to take a little bit of sativa and a little bit of like OG Kush, and he'll pack them in the bowl together. And then smoke them together. He's like, yeah, it's like creating my own new hybrid. And I'll take a rip of a little bit of both. And then I'll I go like paint something.
Because I always do that. You see me do that. I'll take all whatever weed I have.
Like I think that's awesome. Like
throw that shit into it. I just break it all down.
Yeah, you're literally creating your own new hybrid by like doing that.
Like that.
So that's awesome. Find what you like and then create. You know.
Okay, well now that I know you're okay with that, I'll admit that when I do need to see you, if I have a little bit in the jar, I do have one other jar that I put them all in.
I don't even care about putting all my shit in the same, because you can tell the difference if you start pulling out buds or whatever.
I guess it's just, I don't know, I like to have it different for me, just that way I'm not. Well, I don't know. I guess if you mix it up.
So the other thing is the tolerance factor. Is very
yes,
is a very real
thing
in the weed world.
Mm-hmm.
You could have the best weed in the world, the best strain you've ever smoked, but if that's the only strain you have to smoke every day
It
for
doesn't
weeks
do shit
on
for
end.
you.
Thank
After
you for
a
letting
month,
him finish.
after a month of
After
smoking
a
that,
week.
for me, after a day.
I mean, yeah, you can't do that. You gotta flip that shit.
That's why I have so many different kinds.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Because if I smoke the same kind all day, every day,
That's why I buy like 3.
that's why I buy like 30.
See, that's also why I like to have them in separate jars. So that way I flip flop back.
You have to rotate through, yeah. Because
if you smoke the same thing, it'd be
Yep.
like, it's like almost getting bored, but it's not even getting bored. It's
it
like
just doesn't phase you anymore,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't affect you. It doesn't phase you, and that's why every jar is different here. Because I go through the lineup every day.
So let's talk about the jars.
I never smoke the same strain like 2 times in a row.
Exactly. So
Every
let's talk
time
about
I'm smoking something different.
Let's talk about a couple.
Where do we want to start? Sativas?
Would you want to go?
Blue Dream?
Let's go together.
We started with the
somebody
Blue
to do
Dream.
things with, and she doesn't.
Wait till
like,
Judy
she's
Let's take a
editing.
bon-
Yeah,
let's take a
okay.
bon-talk break.
I'm down.
Let's
Is
take
that-
a bon-talk
okay.
break and then
Fuck
I'll
yeah.
go through some of the strains and stuff.
And don't worry.
Yeah, I
Wait,
should show you
did I
guys.
bring my
Have you ever
bon-talk?
seen the archives?
No,
Yeah,
I don't
the
think I
bottom,
have.
The bottom's empty.
I should show you guys the archives.
Yeah, the archives.
All right.
Can capture.
Well, what are we doing?
We're looking at the archives.
What's the archive? I don't even know where it's at. All right, yeah, okay.
You'll see. I think it's what.
What is this like? Your sourdough? You know how they make sourdough and they save like a little bit. and
Oh,
they put it
yeah.
down every time?
Yeah.
Is this your sourdough over here?
Yeah, right. Every time I buy a quarter pound, I save like anywhere from like an eighth to a quarter ounce.
Oh shit!
I put it up in little jars, and every jar is a different strain.
Oh my god.
So I started with it actually started in this little drawer, was originally started as my archives. Now it's more like a hash and like bull archives. Not much in there anymore.
Wait, Mike, can you repeat exactly? Because I kind of missed a little bit of. Can you repeat exactly what you're saying right now? Because I'm kind of confused, but
The archive.
What
The
is
archives. It's kind of like a wine cellar of weed. Where every jar is a different strain of all my favorite strains over the months and years of growing and collecting and meeting other people that also.
oh, there we go.
So, like I said, every jar is different.
Can I take a photo?
Feel free. There's only a few.
Oh my god.
All the big jars that are out there go down here normally. So normally the
Because
big
at
jars
first I
are
was
stored
looking at
down
this
there.
like, this is not years of, this is not, but then he's like, opening cupboards, opening cupboards, opening cupboards, let's go to the attic, Mike, let's see what's going on up there. And every time we say your name, I'm going to take it out.
It's like,
Oh no, or we say Mike is pretty, you tell me, it's pretty generic,
not
but.
worried about
He's
it.
Mike Hernandez.
Fernandez.
Hernandez.
Like that.
Hernandez.
Yeah, it's a little bit of my collection over the years.
Okay, so wait a minute. We need to go deeper into this because
Yes, I have
weird.
questions.
Like I have questions. So like, okay, so but because this is not. I feel like if you say you were taking a collection of everything you've ever had that you like, I feel like it would only be like a little nug. These are like eighths. These are like halves.
Yeah.
These are like not a little bit of the shit. This is a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is going on here?
Like I said, I keep anywhere from an eighth to a quarter ounce of
Oh, you did say that.
each kind, and then what's cool is I'll get the same strain but from different growers.
And you're like,
so then I'll
no.
take a nug of the same strain but yet from different growers. So some of these jars will be the same strain but from different growers.
Oh,
so this is
wow.
like my Girl Scout cookies jar.
But like 5
And
growers.
so you look in it, and so not only
Well,
is
why
this all
don't you
Girl
have
Scout cookies, but
labels?
each different nug is a different batch, a different,
Oh, a different batch.
Wait a minute.
From a
Where's
different
your
harvest.
labels?
up in here.
Oh my god.
He
This
remembers
is
them
how I
all.
test my memory and put my
Okay, so hold
photographic
on.
memory to the
I
test.
had this question.
So none of
I
my,
didn't-
well,
wait, Mike,
okay, two
this-
of the jars are labeled out of about 30.
I
But
have
the
an
rest are
interruption.
all
Yes.
mentally.
Please listen, this is serious. I had this question
serious.
already. I had this question, but I didn't write it down. So, like, if somebody says this is Girl Scout cookies, and you, like you said, you have like 5 batches of Girl Scout cookies, do you ever look at that shit and say, this is not fucking Girl Scout cookies?
Yes.
Oh yeah, all the
Yeah,
time.
for
I'll call
sure.
people out on their shit.
Yeah,
If they're calling their nug something that I don't believe it is, I'll tell them, and then I'll
So I
show
feel
them
like that-
something
that
that
is
is
a-
that strain, and I'll show them.
Right.
and I'll tell them why it's not what
and
they
doesn't
claim
that
it
take
is.
like looking under the doesn't that take like looking under the microscope and looking under the light and like looking at the cones? He's actually looking at the leaves.
So. He ain't a diamond expert.
I know, not you, but I'm just saying that like every fucking strand looks different. You can actually tell if you look at it, if you smell it, if you taste it, if you smoke it.
Definitely.
It like Girl Scout cookies, Girl Scout cookies. Yep. So don't fucking tell me it's Girl Scout cookies when it's not.
Yeah.
Not only will he tell you it's not, he will tell you why.
Yeah, and that's a common thing that happens in a lot of dispensaries too. They'll write down the name that it's not really just to try and sell it. And so I've seen that happen a lot, where especially when Girl Scout cookies first came out, and it was a Bay Area strain that created that. So the Girl Scout cookies was a Bay Area strain, and we heard a lot of rumors about it down here for half a year to a year before we really started seeing it. And a lot of people, all they knew was that it was a purple strain, and so then all of a sudden a lot of purple strains started getting labeled Girl Scout cookies,
Purple.
even they weren't really Girl Scout cookies, but the dispensaries would label it and sell it as that because people down here didn't know. So
motherfuckers.
that definitely
Remember
happens
that
a lot.
black ass weed I brought, but it wasn't even good.
Can't always judge what the labels are at the dispensaries, because a lot of times they'll put whatever name on there they think will sell.
That was a question I had in my head, like
the name game.
Because I know, like, I know certain people can look at the strand and say, like, oh, this is this is that, and I had to figure people would lie. I had to figure people were fucking lying about the shit
all the time.
But yeah, so
I feel like we have like just a closing.
Yeah. So, anyways,
any other questions on weed?
No, I think we got.
Guess what? Oh yeah, vegetarian shit is out of here.
Bye bye.
Erica's gonna go get some bacon as soon as she gets home.
Mike's a meat eater. We're like opposites. And
that's why you attract.
What, do you cook it?
I cook it for him, but I do not handle meat anymore because for some reason, every time I handle meat, it like, especially when it touches like the back of my hands, it like stings my hands. Like, I don't know what the hell it is. Maybe it's like, I don't know. Anyways, I don't.
That's what my husband says because he's allergic to seafood, so. He's like, oh, if I touch shrimp, it's gonna break out. I don't believe him, but that's what he says.
Happens. It's weird. I get that.
That's just his excuse for not having to peel the fucking shrimp.
I put gloves on.
What's funny is my hands are actually allergic to the weed, the crystals.
What? Super allergic.
Yeah,
your skin.
Almost my entire body.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
I call I call it nature's cruel joke against me. The plant that I love so much.
Can you repeat that again? I feel like that got overlooked or something. Can you repeat that again, please?
In closing, nature's cruel joke against me is that my skin, pretty much everywhere except my fingertips, is highly allergic to the crystals on the nugs and leaves. So whenever I'm trimming, if any parts of the sticky leaves and crystals touch my hands, I'll break out in a red itchy rash wherever it touches me on my skin.
Almost instantly.
And it's very annoying.
Touches.
It also makes me sneeze a lot when trimming. I can trim for about an hour, and then after that I just start sneezing uncontrollably, and I usually have to leave the room. It means I'm allergic, unfortunately. But thank God I'm not allergic to the smoke.
Not karma, but
I have met people that are allergic to the smoke, and when they've tried to smoke, it made their throat like swell up, and they had trouble breathing and had to go to like the emergency room. So,
oh my god!
Thankfully, I don't have that allergic reaction. That would definitely be the worst. So luckily, I can smoke freely all I want, but handling it is a delicate situation.
It's interesting to know.
Yes. Well.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us interview you. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
This was great. Very informative.
Yeah, Mike is super knowledgeable about everything that has to do with weed and I'm just like, wow, you know a lot. I've learned so much with from him. When I first met him, I wasn't against weed, but I was at the point where I was like, well, you could take it or leave it. If I didn't ever smoke it again, I'd be fine, you know. But now that I have it in my life so strongly, I'm like, I don't know if I could stop smoking or like having it present in my life.
I have no intentions on. I tell my kids, I tell my husband, just I must smoke till I motherfucking die, or until I until I get like 70 or 80 and just don't have interest.
Until I can't smoke no more.
Like maybe I'll run out of interest, but I don't think so. Like I'm just gonna be smoking. Like shit.
Because it's gonna help you.
If your mom still smokes and my grandma still smokes, like I'm sure that.
My mom's 72. She over here texting me pictures of this bong she about to hit. So.
All right, thank you guys for listening to Mixed Greens Podcast. You can catch us on Twitter at Mixed Greens Pod, on Instagram and every other platform at Mixed Greens Podcast. Email mixedgreenspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Yay.
Mixed greens don't judge me, it's not what it seems. Mixed greens, it's a show about everything. Now go tell a friend from mixed greens. Mixed greens don't